Collingwood unseated from its perch atop the table. How deep do the concerns run for a deposed favourite that is now off the boil?
Brisbane landed the biggest blow of the premiership defence, and the Adelaide Crows proved the beneficiary as the pecking order gets a shake-up.
And the Dockers got out of a sticky scenario but didn't escape unscathed. The coach has the latest on prime mover Hayden Young.
We've talked about is to step into it, embrace all of it.
Get in the room and fix it.
It's unedifying for a senior coach to do that.
They're on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of the season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do.
It's the stuff that legends are made of.
What is holding the ball? I don't think I could answer it clearly right now.
I could do something wrong, and I need to go, and the board sacks me.
The fans love it, and with no fans, no 360, right?
The most consequential round in many a month. The bad was diabolical, but the good, Gaz, the good was exceptional.
Yes, fortunately we were there at one of them. I was actually at two of them. I had a great weekend of footy. I know there's some ordinary matches around, but let's concentrate on the big ones, and there were big results.
Yeah, did Saturday night know how to draw a crowd? So the biggest home and away crowd the Lions had ever played in front of at the MCG, and what it did on a television front for Fox Sports and for KO. Highest rating home and away game in Fox footy history. The fourth highest rated game in Fox footy history, so that includes finals, and the most streamed game in the move towards KO, and that includes finals.
Lived up to the billing, and people would have stayed right till the end. There's a game in 2 weeks' time that might challenge those numbers when they head over to Adelaide and take on the Crows. So, no, it was great. It was a great game of footy, and the Brisbane Lions will talk about them, and Chris Fagan will join us. They just flexed.
They really did. So here's what we have lined up for you. Nice. Our coaches, Chris Fagan, Justin Longmuir, and then over to couch. Lee Matthews is here to join Jack, Geordie, Brownie and Bucks with all their analysis. Our players, two of the most revered in the game, Marcus Bontempelli and Travis Boak, for the small and the big issues as we hit August. Ray Chamberlain. We were building a list, I feel, on Saturday night of incidents to put past him. Simon Goodwin, and our favourite pairing on Wednesday night, Simo and Horse, to make us smarter in the run to finals. Our Mondays start with the awarding of the GVPs, the most valuable players from the round in the estimation of just one man, Garry Lyon. The Mustang is getting close to decision time. $93,000 worth of vehicle here. Mustang GT fastback from Ford. You know the iconic design, the unreal performance, the 5-litre V8 engine.
In camera, surely. We're going in camera. We have to be. It's just getting too nerve-wracking. Righto, here we go. So I went to Thursday night. This was a big game. It was the Western Bulldogs and the Giants. It was supposed to have massive ramifications. And Aaron Norton said, "Get out of my road." Sam Darcy joined in, and then the game was over inside 15 minutes. He was fantastic, Aaron Norton. His back half of the year has been everything that you would have hoped if you're a Western Bulldog supporter that you'd see from this man, who has had his moments in the last 24 months, but he was back to being the dominant key forward. 20 touches, 14 contested, took 8 marks, Gerard, had 13 score involvements and kicked 5 snags.
He's been an open question for a few years, but now he's an answered question. Yeah. He's living up to his contract, and that pairing that they have got going, it's really something.
I want to talk about intangibles in football, confidence, if you could bottle it, and he's got it. 2 votes went to Jordan Dawson. The All-Australian captaincy's up for grabs. He's probably got his nose in front right now. Noah Anderson's coming really hard, but they might go with the experience. And this bloke, in the first quarter, Will Day just took it apart. 9 possessions, Will Day. 6 clearances he had. Jordan Dawson went in the second quarter and stood right next to him. And by the end of that second quarter, he himself had 7 touches, kicked 2 unbelievable goals, and just got the Adelaide Crows back into the contest. He's a phenomenal footballer. This is one of those goals here. And he's going to be hard to toss from the All-Australian captaincy. And then Logan Morris put on a display.
Yes.
Saturday night. How old is he? 19?
20 now.
20 years of age, MCG. Those numbers you talked about from an audience point of view. Up against the Collingwood defence. It's been rated as the best in the competition for a while. With the All-Australian and Premiership captain in the vicinity. And he just kicked a lazy 6 goals straight. That's what I loved about it. On the big stage, 6 goals straight. So What a player they've got in this young man. And we're blessed. We've got a beautiful bunch of these young key forwards coming up. It was good to watch him in action.
Yes, those in their early 20s and then one right on 20. So we'll talk to the coach about him. I suspect this is the last time we'll see the GVP.
Take a note of that if you
want. In camera we go. So Patrick Dangerfield on 9, Matt Rouse 7, Toby Green, Jesse Hogan, Isaac Heaney 6, Steele Sidebottom, Cozzy Pickett, Tom Green, Nick Dacos. Could still come from the clouds with a couple of great games.
Anyone could win it, Gerard.
Anyone could.
Nine's in front. You could get 4 best ons.
All right, top of the agenda. A month ago, Collingwood was sitting pretty. They had a 10-point buffer on the competition. That margin for error has now been erased. And like everybody else, the Magpies are right on the edge.
Ideally, would have been good to get Bobby on a bit earlier because he'd
I think there are some alarm bells starting to ring.
And then there's a bit of mood music, isn't it?
It is a seismic result amongst the contenders, and the champs are still here.
We had a meeting about it, just, he said, don't sugarcoat it, we just outplayed. But that's real, the numbers don't lie.
Unbelievable victory. To be the best, you've got to beat the best. Collingwood have sat on top of the ladder for most of this season. They've come here and they've stared them down.
Brisbane, apparently they had a really stern and honest session about their contest and stuff, and I said, do you need that from me? Do you want that? I just don't think we need that. I just think we've got a lot of trust in our group. Hasn't been a pattern, but it's disappointing. Yeah, we've got work to do.
It's cause for concern at Collingwood.
I'm concerned that there's only a couple of strings to their bow at the moment.
We were outplayed by a really good team, like a really good team, a hungry team. As I said after Freeman, it's good to get that lesson now, isn't it? Yeah, I'm an internal optimist. I have so much trust and belief. And if you're a Collingwood supporter at home, you think, geez, we played probably as bad as we played since round 0. That's real. We're not going to stand still. I said to the players here, we'll see you Tuesday with a smile on your face, ready to get better. Yeah, that's where we're going to live.
Is the history here a guide or a caution? And you can smell the desperation 4 nights out from that. Hawthorn's only way to the finals is probably through Collingwood, and the margin for error for the Pies is gone. The history repeating, Gaz, is you can run a couple of case studies here, but 2023 being the most relevant. In the waiting room, while finals had been secured and before it was for all the marbles, they lost 3 out of 4. We're seeing that again. They never lost top spot, though, in 2023, and this is where this season gets sticky. A couple more missteps and they'll miss the top 4. Set it right and they'll win the minor premiership and restore favouritism. What do you believe?
2 of those wins, by the way, were by very, very narrow margins. So what do I believe? Craig McRae sat here on Monday and said it felt a bit like they were leading the Tour de France and the peloton was closing in on them, and that is exactly what's happening, which is great for the competition. Not so good if you're a Collingwood fan, because all of a sudden you're 10 points clear a few weeks ago. So there's a few. What happens when you're out in front for that long? I suspect Sydney copped this as well last year. Is that opposition clubs go, OK, they're going to be there, Collingwood. Yeah, we suspect they're going to be top 2 or top 4, so we're going to have to go through them. So let's go to work on them. So there's a couple of things that have emerged, I think, in recent times, and whether it's real or not. There's no panic, by the way, because Brisbane they just might be the best team.
Yeah,
Brisbane. So no panic, but don't play down the line footy against Collingwood. That is the number 1 rule, I reckon. Their intercept marking game and their defenders behind the footy will be bolstered by Jeremy Howe. Just don't play straight line. They defend straight line as well as anyone in the competition. Their intercept marking game when they're winning and losing is different. And then we'll talk about ground ball in a moment. So their ground ball stuff, I think, there was a game against St Kilda, whether it was by design or their shocking kicking inside their forward 50, and all of a sudden they look very, very vulnerable. So in their losses, in their defensive 50, their ground ball results are 17 in the competition. So there's a couple of ways that you want to stretch them. You don't want to stretch them, you won't stretch them if you kick in straight lines, as we're about to see here, because Darcy Cameron's been the best intercept marker in the competition. He'll just pop himself down here, and Darcy Moore, in this role, is as good as anyone. So don't do that. Don't blast away like that. You're playing right into the hands of this Collingwood team. what this Brisbane team too is they then went off the line. No one likes to defend angles. So this is what makes it hard. And Collingwood aren't alone in this, but Wilmot's gone here. So there's Quainer up high as a defender. Perryman gets up high as a defender. Change the angle, open some space up. Wilmot, who's one of the most outstanding young players in the game, comes on and kicks the goal. And then in that second quarter, Gerard, Collingwood had complete domination, you'll recall it, until this. So then they just got back to work. So they sight Cameron, they sight Moore, and they go, we're not going anywhere near him. So for a period of time there, Collingwood just kicked goal after goal after goal. So this is instructive here. Keep looking, keep referencing where those two are and go around them. And now this was really, we'll speed this up now, that was dramatic and enhanced because they couldn't get through. They just couldn't get... They only had 5 possessions or something in the inside 50 in the second quarter, but they went around them. So that's the way to go against Collingwood. Now, when there's pressure and everything else, the long down the line is a manna from heaven for the rest of them. But play the angles and be prepared to win the ground ball in your forward 50 and you'll stretch them.
So this is the tyranny of being the team that everybody's forensically studying, knowing if you're going to amount to anything, you've got to find a way to combat this system.
Yes, and there'll be many more layers to that. That's just the stuff I've seen. So Darcy Cameron's had 0 intercept marks twice this year. They lost both games. So all these things are justifying what you think. But I've watched them a lot. We watch them a lot because they're always big games. And, I just think if you play straight line, you play straight into their hands. And Brisbane, for the first time in 4 times, took it off the line all the time. And we'll talk to Chris Fagan in a moment, and they got through.
So what we're about to see with Collingwood is they have... The margin for error has been erased. They went through the qualifying phase, took a breath around how to manage it, or they can't manage it any longer. So I suspect consequence plays a big role now from Thursday night and having Hawthorn and Adelaide. So we'll get the full ginned-up version of Collingwood now. Yep. And I suspect the lesson of 2023 was we didn't get that for a period of time and it never threatened them. They were still sitting on top and they produced that in the finals. I would expect to see that now on Thursday night. There's no loafing toward finals from here.
Yeah, and the selection integrity question will be really interesting. So you suspect that Frampton, who I heard you today, the form in the VFL is not good. It's not important, really. I know that sounds stupid, but he's just going to come and play the role that frees up Darcy. Jeremy Howe, he comes back. And then you got the Ned Long question, who's been one of the success stories of the season, but he looked exposed in that pressure. Now, they may have faith in him working through, or they may go back to Mitchell, the known quantity. So all of these things will reveal themselves as early as Thursday night. And Collingwood fans should look forward to it. I mean, they've got justifiable swagger, and we'll find out whether it's well placed, because Hawthorn are playing for the whole damn lot.
This period was the theme of their whole premiership film, is when the doubts gathered in August heading towards September.
And the doubts are just... but there's some that people just don't like Collingwood. That's okay. That's just the drama around it. But the doubts aren't anything that's saying they can't win the premiership. I don't think any analyst is sort of putting a line through them. But the questions are there, and Craig McRae himself said it. There's questions, and we've got to get answers.
Did we get our default position restored? Brisbane's the best team in it until further notice.
I'm about to talk about another team that I've almost become a citizen of Adelaide. I tell you what. The Brisbane Lions are very, very, very good, Gerard, but that team over in South Australia, they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
What left the biggest impression on Saturday night from the Lions, particularly after what they'd done in the Q Clash, which invited questions around whether they were at the end of their run, whether they were marking time. Lockie Neal's reference to Cam Mooney in the aftermath of it's hard to review when you brought no effort.
Yes.
And you go, OK, so that gave us a really good look inside their week and they were ready.
Yeah, that made your ears prick up, didn't it? We all looked at each other and said, well, that's exactly what happened. And they'd probably just wiped it and said, I'll trust you to say that that's what happens when you don't turn up. The exciting thing about Brisbane is they just keep getting better. And the Ashcroft boys, every time I watch them, get better. A kid Wilmot off half-back just keeps getting better. And then Rayner and Bailey barely touched it in the first half. And in the second half, they came to light. Fletcher keeps getting. So they've got this hardcore of senior players who play at a level, and these young kids just keep getting better and better and better.
All right, I've held you back long enough. As you've seen a lot of Adelaide live and you've felt this building, you've shared it with us a few times. How significant? You knew on Friday night that this is a result that lasts, and then it turns out that it's even better because for the first time since 2017, they sit atop the table at the pointy end of the season.
This has got the old feeling of Adelaide, the old premiership and even going back to South Australian state footy. You do not, under any circumstance, want to play Adelaide in Adelaide.
Yeah.
That's where it sits right now. Probably the team that would be best placed is Collingwood, who travel as well as anyone. But that's what it feels like now, having been there a lot. The club, the town, the coach have all got justifiable confidence in their ability because they've got blokes like Isaac Rankin that can just come to light and tear it apart. They've got blokes like Dawson that can recognise the tone of a game and change it. They've got blokes like Taylor Walker who, when his time comes, will step up and kick clutch goals. They've got a monster playing out of the goal square who's the equal of any of the key forwards in the competition, and they're honest.
Yeah.
They appear to me really, really honest, Gerard. So, yeah, we'll just having been at the Adelaide Oval and watched them dispense with quality opposition, and Hawthorn lost no admirers, then, yeah, no one's getting carried away with their premiership hopes if you're not talking about them.
The judgment call is whether newbies can go all the way first time through. Are you seeing enough in them with the mixture of experience and youth and the precociousness and the environment to suggest?
I am. I think it's a really open competition, which makes for a great September. But just look at some of these results here, Gerard. So the Suns, they put paid to them in emphatic style. We know that they've got something about them. Hawthorn, who were kicked the first 5 goals of the game and looked like they were on a tear. So they're well coached, well led. They've been down long enough, Gerard. They're hungry. So
they're a couple of years overdue, I reckon.
It
comes to full fruition.
Yeah, and they've got all the pieces. So. This is going to be a super September, and the old Adelaide song that belted out in those back-to-back grand finals couldn't get out of your head for 2 years. It's been played pretty regularly.
The nasty side of Friday night was the injury to Will Day. So we've lived the season with Will. We know how meticulously all this was planned out, the work that had been done by him, by the medical staff, and for it only to last 2 weeks. It did take you back to the desk here on Tuesday night.
Within our team, the medical team and the club, we had a really clear plan, and it was that Carlton game that we were eyeing off, and everything went really smoothly and really happy with where it's at. So I go into these last few games with a lot of confidence.
And it made it all the more heart-wrenching on Saturday when we all learnt that he's out for the season. There was just a moment in the post-game on Friday night where we were watching ice get strapped to the top of his foot, and Sam Mitchell said, I didn't want to ask because I don't want to answer. Where all the feels were just all wrong around us. He
was unbelievable. That's the other thing. In the first quarter, he was just charging around like a man that had been held back and held back and held back. He had 9 touches. He had 6 clearances, Gerard, in the first quarter. He sort of went to Dawson, which at the start of the game, and he's so pivotal and central to what they're doing. And then you see this. So, and he's been with us. He's been, we handpicked him as one of our young guns that we wanted to sort of go on a journey with this year. So you invest a bit more. I saw him pre-game and he was up and feeling pumped and looking forward to it. And then, as I said, you sat there and watched him. He tore it to shreds. 9 touches, 6 clearances. They've kicked 5 in a row and you went, wow. And then this is the finish. So navicular's a horrible word. It was a word even back when we were playing that you got scared about. And it's the unknown. I've heard James Hird talk about it. I've heard Matthew Egan talk about it. It's just the unknown. You think you're right. So there's no knock on... I'm not a medico. There's no knock on the Hawthorn Footy Club. I don't think anyone's knocking the Hawthorn Footy Club for playing him because history says you wait. At some stage, you just got to bite the bullet. And they waited and waited long enough. And this footy tragedy's taken place. So... he's a valuable commodity, so they'll leave no stone unturned and get it right. Yeah, it's a lot for Will to work through now. He's had 2 seasons bookended, so these are 4 serious injuries now. And one of the things we quizzed him on around what level of faith he held, and he was unshakable that he would meet the markers and not second-guess himself. It will be hard to live that journey again and not second-guess everything. Because he's living the nightmare that is the navicular story. Because when you hear about it and then you go and research it, you'll see these case studies that are very similar to what he's experiencing now. So mentally, that would be a really tough place for that young man to be in. And Harry O'Farrell's in an awful place now. The Blues... So they're 2 picks from last year's draft have both done ACLs. He does it... August has got to be just a wretched time for this to happen, especially. Especially, it counts you out for the next year, essentially. So there's no... If it happens early in the year, at least you can get back and start training and you do a full pre-season. But, yeah, in what has been a really dark period for the Carlton Footy Club, of which one of the side benefits was they were exposed so much on Thursdays and Friday nights that we got to watch kids come into the system maybe ahead of their time, and he was one that caught everyone's eye as potentially their centre half back for the next 10 years. So anyway, there's heaps of players that have done it. He would know that, Harry, and come back and had magnificent careers. But it did just give us a bit of a low feeling, didn't it?
Yep, ruptured ACL confirmed late today. The Giants side of things. So there was no question who the big loser of the weekend was. There's been this idea forming that this is the team that could storm the final series. And 6-8 minutes in on Thursday night just made a lie of that.
Prefer it didn't happen, but we've got an opportunity to respond. I'm not overly concerned. I don't think that's us, and it hasn't been us for a long period of time, but it was tonight. And so we'll review the game well, move on pretty quickly and get to work on what we need to work on, and then try and produce against North Melbourne next week.
So this has been a mantra at various stages through the year for teams. That's not us. But what the hell was that?
Yeah, that's one of the more jarring games of the year for me. We're just watching it on the couch. You just sat there going, this is 4 weeks out from a final series that they've worked so hard to position themselves in, and then all the words that you throw up that will get your headline are relevant. They were insipid, they were soft, they were pathetic at times, and all that is pretty jarring to hear it, particularly when you've got a ferocious character like Adam Kingsley at the front. So I suspect he'll be looking for a Brisbane Lions-like response. The Lions put in an un-Brisbane performance and came out and beat Collingwood at the MCG. They get North Melbourne, so you're probably not going to learn as much. But it was really shocking to watch. And if you got the Giants as one of your favoured teams and you see that... Anyway, what we won't get an answer to is the mindset of the group and the ability to be up and down. Like that, they were up as high as they could be, and that was as low as they've been all year. So that's the worry. 3
injuries seem to do them in. And I'm interested in the dynamics. So the week before, it's a halftime burst, which inspires nearly the best quarter of the year. Yeah. And then that is deep soul searching, and it's late in the year to be doing that.
The best quarter of the year, and amongst their worst, their half against Sydney was poor as well. So anyway, we'll find out, won't we?
On the broader front, as Callan Ward did announce that he has retired from his senior career, he joined us a few days after he'd done his knee in round 12, and he wasn't prepared to call it right then, but he well knew his fate. He's allowed things to settle. And this gives the Giants a moment to salute. I mean, he is one of the founding figures. Whatever they amount to over their first 50, 100 years, he plays such a pivotal role in planting that seed and fostering it as the foundation captain, whilst winning universal acclaim for the way that he played the game.
Yeah, that summed him up. He's a beer... He's not no champagne, Gerard. He's a beer drinker. So, no, I said at the time, when your time's up, we didn't know that it was going to be up, but if it was, then... There's a couple of ways you can go out, and if you go out with the universal respect, then your retirement comes easily for you. It might not be easy now, but it sits easily and comfortably, and he's in that category.
Yeah, so best and fairest and the most courageous across the league. So those are a couple of the medals that he will carry into retirement. Right, those are the threads. We'll get to our coaches, shall we?
Interesting. Both coaches.
They really are.
An interesting weekend, isn't it?
Yep. Chris Fagan got what he would have wanted out of Saturday nights as they mount their premiership defence. And for a little while yesterday, this got sticky for the Dockers, but they blasted themselves out in the final term as well.
So what is it right now? Is it relief? Is it satisfaction? Is it joy?
All of those things, and pride run towards the fire. You know, teams are coming at us because we won the premiership. Well, we're going to run straight back at them. This is definitely one. I think the last time that.
If you need me to say you can't win it or something like that in the next couple of weeks, I'm happy to do that just to take a bullet to get you going again.
Mate, I didn't realise you were such a comedian, King.
Lots of green.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, lots of green. There was lots of red last week, King. It was everywhere. It's all red. I've never seen that. Felt like they spilled a tomato sauce bottle over the stats sheet. Just the way we roll here at the Brisbane Lions.
Winners and grinners, 1 week to the next, eh? 1 week to the next.
You're going to be on the Saturday night game. You've got to win because they're in a good mood there.
Yes. So both of our coaches bring 14 wins to the table, which in a regular season with 3 to go would bring a level of security. Not this year. It's perversely tense. Chris Fagan, great to have you back on the program, Fags.
Yeah, good to be on, Gerard and Garry. Thank you.
Justin Longmuir is over with us in the West. Justin, welcome.
G'day, guys.
It tests the nerves this season, doesn't it? Justin is watching you maybe at halftime yesterday thinking, oh, don't be the team that makes a mistake.
Yeah, it does. It feels, to be honest, it feels like every week's like that at the moment. Yeah, and clearly we didn't start the way we wanted to yesterday. To Carlton's credit, they came to play and they were ferocious with their pressure and their hunt at the ball. But really proud of the way the players adjusted and ground out the second half.
Since this time yesterday, we've been wondering about Hayden Young. Have you been given a diagnosis?
It's just come through. So he's got an adductor strain. At this stage, he'll miss this week, and we'll get some time frames to everyone as probably the week or next week unfolds. But yeah, we've escaped serious injury. It's just a matter of whether we can get him back before our last game.
It's not in the Will Day category, but he plays a similar role in terms of his importance and where he can play and what he is to your team. I know you won't take any risks with him, but I guess it spooks you at this time of the year.
It does, yeah, and we're cutting it pretty fine with timelines, aren't we? So, we'll get a little bit more information back. Yeah, we'll see where the timelines fit. But yeah, clearly the last couple of weeks has shown that he's important to us. He adds a different dimension to our midfield, and yeah, we've missed him most of the year. So, having said that, we've got to this point without him the majority of the year, so I'm sure we'll be fine.
And for him, Justin, just that search for continuity. We watched the week before what one game led to the next, and he wins the medal in a derby. Just how deflating for him would it be?
Yeah, really, really disappointing for him. I feel for him more than I feel for us because, yeah, as you've mentioned, he's been in and out all year and he's had setbacks and, he didn't even see out 10 minutes yesterday. So, yeah, he'll be flat. Not only is he one of our more important players, but he's also one of our leaders and, he just wants to get out there and play footy and help lead the team. So we'll wrap our arms around him, but, hopefully we'll see him again this year.
So tell us what it means for Nathan Fyfe. We're all here, we're thinking that he's playing in the waffle. It would appear he got through and played really well. Has it opened the door for him, or where is he at, and where is he at in your mind?
He comes into calculations this week. He was really good about going back and playing in the waffle last week. He played 60, 70 minutes, was easily best on ground in my eyes. So he did what he needed to do. But we just need to work out his build and where he fits in the team. So we'll work out that later. The news has only just come through about Youngie, so we'll work out the team in a couple of days when we have to select it. But he's put his name in the mix for sure.
What did you want to see, Justin? What did you see that reassured you that Fyfe can still play a role?
We wanted to see his touch and his footy and his craft, but really just needed to see him get through a full game. Well, last time he suited up for us, he didn't get on the field as a sub, so he needed that confidence in his body to be able to get through some minutes and get that step up and probably bridge the gap between a solid training block and AFL footy. So I'm pretty sure he ticked that box, even though it was a really poor conditioned day. There was puddles throughout the oval and wasn't great in that sense, but yeah, he got through well.
That's something to look forward to. Fags, well done on Saturday night. We were lucky and feel fortunate to have been there. It was a super game of footy. They had got you the previous 4 times, and you alluded to the fact that they'd got you in a certain way. What was it about it on Saturday night that you reckon you addressed best?
Oh, it was a number of things, Garry. They'd gotten us a contested ball and clearance pretty well the previous 4 occasions. I think, we didn't move the ball with any real aggression against them in the previous 4 games, and we felt like we needed to do that on Saturday night, and our pressure in those games was well below what is the norm for us, and I think our pressure factor was up high 1.8s this time around. It was like last time, I think it was about 1.5. So we got the pressure up. Our third quarter in particular was great. I think it was 2.27 in the third quarter. So they were just some of the things that we needed to do that we'd done poorly in the previous 4 occasions.
So you've seen it all, Fags. How do you rationalise the Q clash, given what happened next? Or do you not try to rationalise it now?
Oh, well, I think, I mean, we'd been up for, I think, a good 8-week period leading into that Q clash game. We'd won 6 and lost 2, and those 2 losses were in games against Adelaide and the Giants, games where we had a lot more shots than the opposition. So we'd played very well, and you know, Gold Coast were up for the challenge last week, and you know, maybe because we seem to have been able to beat them pretty regularly over the last few years, our blokes in the back of their minds might have thought it was going to be a little bit easier than it was, and you know, the Suns came to play and we got caught out. So it was a good lesson, a good thing to talk about during the week. I always think you learn more from your losses than your wins, and in many ways it was just a good reminder that if you don't play with effort, you can't win in this competition.
Yeah, well, you brought effort, no question about that. Just to be honest with us, at half-time, if we had said that Morris had to have 3 and Henry Smith would have 3, then you'd be well on your way. Would you have thought that would be the case?
Oh, I'm not surprised Morris kicked 3. I guess Henry's only played 3 or 4 games of AFL footy, so for him to do that in the first half was very, very exciting. I mean, we've had high hopes for him for quite some time, but he's been growing a lot over the last few years. I think he's 207 centimetres now, and along with that's come a few injuries. So he's never been able to sort of get into the senior team this year, but he's just had a block of good games in the VFL, and an opportunity came up to select him this week, and so we put him in and he didn't let us down. I think he's got a very bright future if his body can stay sound.
Is he more ruck forward or forward ruck?
He's an interesting one. I don't 100% know. I mean, he's obviously, because he's been a tall lad growing up, he's played a fair bit of football in the ruck. But my information is that he's one of those boys that grew later in his teenage years. So prior to that, he'd sort of been a ruck rover sort of type, and so he's very nimble at ground level and moves pretty well. So I've really got an open mind about what he can do, but I think he can do well at both, to be honest. So hopefully we can keep developing him.
You've been ultra cautious with Oscar McInerney, and there's probably more that we'll know subsequent to the season. How delicately poised is he entering with a month to go?
Yeah, well, I'd have to be honest and say delicately poised is a good description. He needed to take a weekend off just gone by to allow some treatment to hopefully assist, and then we'll just build him back up again and see how we go. But certainly, you know, in the game that we played against the Gold Coast, he was pretty sore by half-time, and it was a brave effort by him to get through. But he can't keep playing while he's like that. So hopefully there's some improvement over the next week or 2.
Tell us about the art of coaching against someone like Nick Dacos. We talked to you down Geelong. We badgered you about the same question about Bailey Smith, and your line was, no, we back our boys in, and you got the job done magnificently there. And then at half-time, I must admit, I was thinking, yeah, maybe you're going to have to put a bit of work into him. What was the conversation around him at half-time?
No, well, we're still in front in the game, and, you know, we just probably had a bit of a chat to our mids about round the stoppage, trying to be a little bit more accountable for him. We felt that we sort of collapsed inside a little bit, and he was able to get on the outside and hurt us a few times. So, and we did change our structure at our stoppages after half-time. We did get more numbers around that situation, so it was a little bit more difficult for the opposition to get out. So that was some of the things that we worked on, but we continued to back ourselves in. We think we've got a strong midfield, and, you know, they're at their best when they're hunting the footy and working together.
Yeah, so were they feeling it by the end? Is there a certain sort of gravitas that they are the premiership midfield, and Gaz used the phrase flex. It did feel like they wanted to flex on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, our midfield was sort of, you know, most of those guys are all of them are very proud men and performers, and they were very disappointed with the way that they played against a really good midfield that Gold Coast possess, and they wanted to bounce back. They're all pros. They didn't need too much motivation in this game to get them going. They're there to redeem themselves, and I thought they all did. They played a very good game between them all.
Justin, 10 of 11, so it's an incredibly solid form line, but the margins are delicate this season. What did you learn in the second half yesterday, staring down a bit of adversity?
Oh, probably no more than what we've learned over the last 4 or 5 weeks, Gerard. We've had to come from that position regularly. We don't want to be in that position as much as we are. At times it's our first quarters, at times it's our middle 2 quarters that is putting us on the back foot. But I think that the overall maturity of our group to be able to stay calm in those moments and not try and rush the game and try and make up the margin in 10 minutes and show a lack of composure. We're understanding the situation. We're able to adjust to what the game needs, and we're able to show composure to hit the scoreboard more than we would have done in the past. And I said to the players after the game, we probably wouldn't have won that game last year or the year before, but I mean, we could even go back to earlier this year when we've been put on the back foot and not being able to find our feet and fight our way back into games. So we're still a pretty young group that's maturing in those situations.
So how hard is it, Justin, to keep the focus very much at whatever is in front of you rather than speculating about what ifs and this and that, and all of a sudden you've got a game that you're heavily favoured to win and you're staring down the barrel. How hard is it to maintain the focus on the job at hand?
Yeah, it's been one of the biggest challenges for this group, I feel. Under a lot of pressure early in the season, and maybe we did lose sight of just living in the moment. And probably since the first time we played St Kilda, we've got a bit of a lesson there. We've had a real mantra of just making sure we win each day and living in the moment and giving every opposition the merits and credit they deserve, and expecting the best of the opposition. I think sometimes as players, and especially young players who haven't been in these situations, we can write stories in our head about what certain games mean individually and as a team, and we've tried to just block that out and play each contest on its merits, and it's held us in really good stead the last 10 or 11 weeks.
Fags, quick one, just back on Logan Morris. Have you got a player that you can liken him to in your vast experiences and journeys across the AFL landscape? Have you got one that springs to mind, or is he a bit unique?
No, I think, look, he reminds me of one of your colleagues in there, actually, Jack Rewalt.
Oh, no, don't say that.
No, he's a great judge of the ball. Well, Jack was a pretty good player, and he's a Tasmanian, Garry, so I've got to support those guys fair. Too. So, but I think, similar size, can really jump, and times he's run at the ball very, very well. He's an intelligent sort of a player as well, reads the play very, very well. So he's got a lot of similar attributes to Jack, to be honest. He's probably the best I can give you at this point in time.
Well, that'd be handy if he turns out as good as Jack, as much as that pains us to say.
It would be.
He likes a big stage. That much has been clear in his 2 seasons so far.
Yeah, he doesn't mind it, does he? He seems to enjoy his footy. He's always got a smile on his face, and nothing's ever too hard. And what I liked about his game this week was he didn't play well like the rest of his teammates against the Gold Coast Suns, and he was very disappointed with his performance and scathing of himself in his own personal review. And I just liked the way that he bounced back this week. It showed a lot of character and a lot of maturity.
Chris Fagan and Justin Longmuir are our coaches on duty this coaches' night, looking back on the events of round 21. We'll broaden the horizons, the bigger issues in the game as well next. And Lee Matthews is here. He's in the building at Fox Footy. He'll be on the couch with his judgments and prognostications, where we find ourselves in early August.
Smooth Moves, brought to you by Jamison Whiskey.
They were heightened stakes on the Jamison Smooth Move too. It's just as well it belonged to Cam Rayner, having taken the advantage, which we'll ask about in a moment around the choice of these things. You want to be kicking that.
Tell you what, we were all watching that going, boy, hell, we hope that goes through for you. And it was an unbelievable goal. And I will have to defer to the coach because I reckon Fags would have wandered over to young Cam and said, "Did you hear a whistle then, young man, or not? What did you say to him, Fags?"
No, we did have a chat after the game about that one, Gary, and he assured me that he didn't hear the whistle. So I'll trust him on that. But I'm so glad he kicked it because I might not have been so accepting of his explanation if he hadn't.
Is he an honest man, Cam, or is he? I would like to believe him, but I don't know.
No, he's a genuinely honest bloke, mate. He's a very much a team player. So I'm certain that if he had have heard the whistle, he would have stopped.
No, fair enough. I'm not doubting his honesty.
We have a peculiar way of adjudicating advantage in our sport that others don't. They hold the whistle and let it run. Justin, do you have team rules around when absolutely not to and when to trust your instincts?
No, we don't. Well, we're actually seeing that more and more, though, aren't we? And I'd imagine just how loud the crowd was there. We've seen a couple at Optus last quarters when it gets running. I mean, one last year in a derby, which Bifey actually didn't hear the whistle and didn't know what was happening. And I'll leave it up to the players, like I'm sure Fags does. But I'd rather set shot 20 metres out straight in front than a little dribble kick from the boundary line.
I reckon I'm all on board Cam Rayner. We had one on Friday night, where Mitch Lewis decided there was a free kick paid here to, I think it was Gunston. Whistle well and truly blown. Everyone stops. He sockers off the ground, hits the post. So the generosity of the umpire in that sense has saved Mitch Lewis.
He's very lucky to get that back. That one's for Ray tomorrow night, I think.
Maybe Cam was watching that, thought he was going to get a free hit anyway. So you get the ball called back. So that was a mistake, no question.
In all the discussion around the bounce, Fags, has it occurred to you that this might actually be a safety issue for the umpires? And we had a really graphic moment, which could have been a lot worse from the Gold Coast on Saturday.
Yeah, I saw that, and my immediate thoughts were that's why you shouldn't bounce the ball. You've got a better chance if you're an umpire of being able to back out of there, having thrown it up, than doing the more ballistic action of actually bouncing the ball. So hopefully it, is a little bit more evidence that, we need to move on from the bounce.
There's no chance that'll be adjudicated or legislated during the rest of this year. But we talked to both of you in the ad break. There was no memo from AFL head office, no Greg Swan edict that the hands in the back was going to be adjudicated more harshly this weekend. And you both said that certainly wasn't evident on Saturday night, Fags, in your game, and Justin said you didn't notice it at all in yours. But there was Melbourne West Coast game and maybe the Saints and North. That certainly the adjudication was nothing like we've seen throughout the year. How hard is this for players to adjust if there's no edict to say we're going to now start paying what we haven't paid for 20 weeks?
Oh, I think it's incredibly difficult. We need to know if that's going to be the case. I don't know whether that was just one of those chance happenings or whether that was a genuine change in process around those sorts of decisions. I don't know, but as you said, Gary, it wasn't evident in our game. I was aware coming into our game that a few more had been paid in that Melbourne West Coast game on the weekend, and I did mention it to the players before the game just to be careful around that, just in case. But that was about as much as I knew about it.
Will you seek clarification, JL and Fags? Will you go to the footy boss and just say, let's put a call in? We need to know how that's going to be judged.
Well, I think the AFL would say, well, especially the umpiring department would say that they don't have rules of the week. And maybe it is just a flow on from their coaching points throughout the week. And maybe that could be on the email if they do send an email out. But sometimes these things pop up and for unknown reasons. And we like Fag said, you sort of watch the early games and you sort of get a feel for some of the umpiring, and you might let your players know if you feel like it's going to be a big deal. But players are pretty good at working it out on the day as well.
Coaches meeting with opposition players has been a theme that's raised its head a couple of times, and it's active at the moment with Collingwood's courting of Jack Silvani, and Craig McRae's been prepared to speak publicly about that. Chris, how careful are you in whatever you're doing behind the scenes with the players that you're targeting around either not discussing or indeed whether you meet or not in private circumstances?
Yeah. Well, I've met with players in private circumstances. I think in those situations, though, you've got to do your level best to protect the privacy of those players, because, you know, you might have a conversation with somebody, but nothing might come of it, and those guys might stay at their club, and if it gets out, it feels pretty embarrassing for them. So I'm really big on, you know, the privacy thing's got to be protected, and I certainly wouldn't reveal in public that I'd been speaking to a player from a particular club. So that would be the way that I would roll. I'm not saying Fly's wrong. He can do it whatever way he wants, but that's how I look at it.
What's your approach been, Justin?
I'm very similar to Fags and agree with what he's just said. I think the other part of it does become a distraction in your own four walls with your own players if you're talking about players from other clubs, especially publicly. So out of respect to the players you're working with day to day and week to week, to try and invest in the footy we're playing at the moment, I think out of that respect is best to keep your mouth shut. And those things sort of tend to come out at the end of the year, when they're needed to come out.
But you're prepared, JL, to sit down and have that conversation with the prospective player, but just not to put the pressure on him by having it made public.
Yeah, I think all coaches meet players from other clubs at stages throughout the year. I've done it this year, but I've done it in the past when potential trades or players wanting to come home have been available. So, but just try and keep it in-house and, make sure we respect both parties.
We won't drag you more than 1 week at a time, but we are looking forward to Friday night in a couple of weeks when the two of you meet. So thanks for being with us tonight, Justin and Chris, and good luck on the way. So we'll see you in round 23.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Justin Longmuir and Chris Fagan on Coaches' Nights. Our players tomorrow night, they've been revered for many a year by now. Bulldogs skipper Marcus Bontempelli and Port Adelaide favourite long-serving Travis Boak.
NAB Goal of the Year nominees.
These are our three from round 21 NAB Goal of the Year nominees. Jordan Dawson had so much going on in this game, and can he land a goal when it matters?
And timing of that was absolutely critical. So maybe not as critical, this one not as critical, but spectacular.
We do rather love a bomb. Didn't even need the torpedo.
Inside the centre square, if you don't mind.
What fly that had on it, and the most contentious goal
well,
of the round.
I'm deferring to all those that said he didn't hear the whistle, because Fague said he's an honest young man, so I'll take that. It's $5,000 fine.
Yeah, you got to pay the other way.
I repeat, he's fortunate he kicked it.
All right, couch in a moment. The 360 scramble to finish is the All-Australian Ruck-Off. A race in two, and which way, Gawn or Grundy?
Yes, Grundy outstanding on the weekend, as was Max. Possessions, 9/10 of the law here. It's down to about 7/10, I think. I think it's just slowly closing. I got Max just in front, but I'm probably biased. Brodie Grundy's had some sort of year.
It has become an all-time duel. They're so close together. Well, there have been before. They have been dual rucks before.
8th for Max, and I'm sure Brodie's been an Australian before.
Yeah, I think he's got two.
He has deserved it. He's had a great year.
Yep. Both heavily in the coaches' votes there. All right, Gaz, see you tomorrow night.
I'll be here, Gerard.
Let's head on the couch with Jack Revolt.